Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me for another episode of Total Ramblings. At the time of recording, it is just gone 8 p.m. on Thursday, the 13th of June 2024. It's the middle of June, it's meant to be what they call flaming June, and it's absolutely pissing down with rain. So, bit of a damp day, to be honest. Yesterday, I had to get to the hospital for 1400 hours because we had a meeting with the complex discharge team for Liz. And I'm just going to bring up my notes because a lot was talked about. So let me just explain what is going on. Okay, so she had a visit from the ear, nose and throat doctor in the morning, and so they'd stuck another camera down her nose, up her nose. Her vocal cords have improved. They're actually saying now she could have the tracheostomy out if she wants because there's less suction being done. But Liz has said, no, it's staying in because, again, we are still super paranoid, right, that without that tracheostomy tube, we have lost all remote access to Liz's secretions. And we know what happened last time. We were straight back in hospital, basically. We don't want to be going back a third time. So the ENT doctor agrees it should stay in. Liz still needs like a deep suction about 10 times a day. And maybe in a few months, she can maybe think about having it out. But I think we're always going to have this worry in the back of our minds. The major sticking point is that there is no community care or no travelling tracheostomy team for somebody in Liz's condition. And they're telling us it's way too risky to consider coming straight home from hospital. There are a few potential care home options for Liz. We've got one up in Reading, one in Hazelmere, one between Romsey and Winchester, and one at Bagshot Park. The names are something like Holy Cross, Beecher Hall, Friars, something or other. Now, the Holy Cross one, which is the one at Hazelmere, I believe, would be quite good because, number one, Liz's ENT doctor kind of operates out of there as part of his round, so to speak. And also, it's on the way to work in Horsham. So if, I could be going to work and I could go and see her on the way home. Each of these care homes is going to send a representative out to assess Liz, and we can also ask questions and we can also visit. It can basically be like an interview, but each place does have its own waiting list. And Liz needs meaningful rehab. It's not just about managing the tubes. She needs meaningful rehab. She needs to be more independent, and the hospital are going to hold them to account for this. Basically, once the assessments have taken place, the hospital assessment team can also decide help with the decision as to which place is more suitable. The Friars place may not be suitable because of Liz's age, and I said, is that because it's full of old people? No, in fact, quite the opposite. It's full of younger people. There's now going to be a 6-week assessment period for eligibility to determine who is going to be funding this. So once she leaves hospital, so basically, is it going to be health? Is it going to be social services? And Liz needs to be on the right funding pathway. We won't lose the funding, but the funding authority might change. We are a little bit stuck in the middle with regard to prescriptions and who issues them, because once Liz is out of intensive care, she's not their responsibility anymore. It would normally be a GP, but the GP knows nothing about Liz's condition and it probably wouldn't be appropriate. So maybe it'll be the ENT doctor that would be issuing that. And also supplies. So we're talking equipment and consumables. That might also be an issue. Who funds those? Who supplies those? We need a named consultant who would basically take responsibility for that. Liz doesn't want to wait another 6 months before she can come home, but they can't give us any kind of time scale. It's a very complex plan. Again, I've asked for training to manage her tubes, but they're obsessed with basically saying, well, what if you're not around? I mean, they don't know me very well. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. But we will need a backup plan. So, and we still need to decide what to do with Liz's car. It's done nothing for 6 months and I'm paying for it. So, and also I sort of, in light of what we've been told, I decided to have a word with work. So as it happens, coincidentally, this morning I had a one-to-one with my boss, and I thought, well, I'll jump rather than before I'm pushed. And I said, look, Liz is in intensive care, but she doesn't need to be in intensive care. It's just because there's no other unit can handle her. And I've basically agreed with my boss that I will now work my 8 hours a day. I'm going to do 8 till 4 every day without break. and then I can go and visit Liz after after that at the hospital. We might also be looking at a rota between myself, Liz's mum, and Alice, because if I'm doing a full hour's work every day and then going to the hospital, there's things at the house I need to look after. I need to maintain things, so we might start doing a rota. And I feel a bit crappy for kind of suggesting this because I don't want to abandon Liz. I've been to the hospital literally every single day that she's been there since December 16th. But if I'm having to work a full 8 hours work as well, then I'm going to have to probably we're thinking at the moment maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday weekends to be determined, with Lizzie's mum, my mother-in-law, visiting her on the days that I'm not there. So she'll definitely have a visitor. And of course, if she goes away to this Hazelmere place, that's a 45-minute drive away. As I say, it is on the way home from Horsham, so we can think about that. But yeah, that's kind of what's happening with Liz at the moment. So so basically I have come home tonight having done a load of shopping, and we're going to start the new work thing from next week, so that I'm devoting all the time that I'm being paid for to work, and that I can still, visit Liz as I need to. We'll see how it works out. Here's the interesting thing, though. Liz took her speaking valve out today, and she could still talk. Right? She can still talk. We could hear her. And I'm immediately thinking to myself, well, hang on. Why can't she just come home now? I'm prepared to put in the work to look after her. And we wouldn't have to leave the house every day and go to the hospital to visit her. She'd be happier. But she has asked the doctor. They're still saying it's too risky at this time. She needs more independence. But I'm kind of coming around to the idea that maybe she could just come home. It's tricky, right? Because I'm not quite sure what I'm letting myself in for. But anyway, that's just my current thought process. So that's the update on Liz. What else have I been doing? Well, got another Deddy bear, little one. This is a little Beelzebub. Now this is the only one that I can't get in the bag charm size, so I picked him up today. He's £5 in Smith's Toys, which is a lot cheaper than they used to be when I first saw them, as I may have mentioned before. Also, what's in here? I need to get my penknife to open this. Bear with me, because what they do is, and I've mentioned this, is they poke their heads out. The zip is kind of sewn in like a fixed position, so I have to kind of unpick it, which I'm doing now. So then we can open the zip, and I can show you who is in here if you haven't guessed already. Here we go. That's the zip out of the way. And then what we have is Van Bear. Big Van Bear. He's got a shiny cloak. And they also tether the bears to the bag like that, which is a little bit annoying. I mean, I understand why they do it, but then you get these little plastic tabs everywhere, and they're just like really annoying to deal with. Here we go. Anyway, there we go. Van Bear. Vampire. Yeah, quite like him actually. And then, subject lost. Oh, that was me. Sorry, that's my camera's telling me it's lost the subject. Van Bear. Let's tell you about Van Bear, shall we? Just get my face back in tracking. Date of death, November 1804. Blood type, other people's. Probable cause of death, very sharp wooden stake to the heart. Quite violent. At least you don't have the stake sticking out. Anyway, that's Van Bear. And this is the last of the large ones that they had in Smith's Toys. And also, if you go on their website, they don't have any other the large ones. So there's no large ghost, there's no large howler, there's no large mummy, there's no... Yeah, I think that's it actually. Anyway, let me just again undo this zip, which has been sewn into position, and show you who's in here. Again, if you haven't guessed already, it's Bones. Ooh, Bones has already become detached. Actually, look, his tag wasn't actually attached. You just remove that with my teeth, which is the approved tool, of course. Yeah, there's Bones. So, let's tell you all about Bones. In the autopsy report, Bones, date of death June 1997, blood type none, probable cause of death hit by a shopping trolley and fell apart, 206 pieces in total. So he was literally smashed apart. It's interesting, right? He's got bones in his ears, ear bones. I suppose technically you do. They sort of bang together, don't they, and make the noise or make the vibration or whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about. Can you tell I'm not a doctor? Anyway, that's Bones. So that's Deddy bears that I've bought today. And in a minute, and I'm going to cut this now because I just am. I'm going to show you something else, something that I put together last night. When I was 8 years old in 1979, Lego brought out classic space sets, and I had a moon base, probably around the size of this, maybe a little bit bigger, and I had lots of the sets. Now those sets have long gone, but I've always been what's called a fan of what's called Lego Classic Space, and so I had a hankering to get my sets out of storage. Now, in fact, there's only a few classic space sets here. So this one I got off eBay recently. That one I got off eBay recently. And I've got two of these. Now, when I was a kid, my moon base, which, because things always have to have a military angle for me, this was my fighter craft, right? So basically, in my mind, enclosed Lego spaceships were off-world or off-moon. They could go to other planetary bodies. And then other ones that were sort of open. This is a buggy, but if it was like a scooter or what they called a space shuttle, that was just basically moon surface only. And I always wanted two of these because you need more than one fighter, right? My mum would never let me buy another one, so I've got two of them now. But basically what I'm showing you here is this is the Galaxy Explorer from a year or so ago, and I bought three of them, and you could make alternate models. So basically this is the version of that. This is obviously the version of the Galaxy Explorer, and there was one in the middle that I never had. And when I built the alternate models, I also ordered specifically the correct bricks for them as well. This is the mech suit made by my friend Pete Reed. But anyway, what I'm showing you here is I've also got some mocks, some my own creations. So this is the Beetle Planetary Explorer. And there are videos on YouTube. There's a video on YouTube of the Beetle from about 15 years ago when I built it. It's got a big hole in it at the moment because these tracks are motorized. There's one motor at the front, one motor at the back, and there's lights. But for some reason, the infrared receiver or transmitter, I'm not sure which, doesn't work. But it does. The receiver normally sticks out there and the motor lives inside, right? And it's actually capable of turning within its own circle, but I can't get it to work. So at the moment it's been gutted of the power bank, of the battery box and the controller, but the motors and the lights are still in there. Then we had this, was the Mantis. Oops, knocking stuff over with the lanyard of my camera here. This is the Mantis. Again, I've got albums. I've got an album on Flickr for this. This is kind of like a long-range sort of attack interceptor craft, whatever you might call it. And then we've got the big boy at the back. This is the ISS Europa. This got displayed at a couple of Brickish shows, again when it was built 15 years ago. Now, it's designed to take these fighters. Now I've got 3 identical fighters, LL 444s, as I numbered them, and I specifically designed them when I built them to have this landing gear here, which locks into here, which is a rail, because this is a hangar deck for the fighters, and it also lights up. And again, I've got a video of this on YouTube. There's lights at the top going all the way down, and there's 4 sets of lights at the entrances to the hangar. It also has a shuttle which docks on the top with like a standard kind of docking ring that I designed. Okay, so this just kind of lifts up, and also it has a full interior. So these panels here lift off, so there's crew and rooms and things inside. Of course, there's the bridge. The back section doesn't have so much stuff in here because there's a big sort of basically these wings are kind of cantilevered off each other, so they're kind of supporting each other with their weight. So inside there's a mechanism to kind of do that. But the whole point was that this was a set, so you can see here we've got wings kind of built, studs not on top, going left and right. The shuttle kind of doubles up on that aspect, and then the big ship kind of does the same thing again. But yeah, so basically I've kind of got like a mini sort of classic space kind of renaissance going on here. So what we've got is we've got some classic space, some neo-classic space mocks that I built, and some of the more recent Lego sort of tributes to classic space, if you like. And I've got a few other sets on the way from eBay. I am aware I need more buildings, but yeah, I thought you might be interested in seeing this. I'm going to have it out for a little while because it's only Alice at home. Liz isn't home, so she doesn't need to get to the chair or anything. What I'd like to try and do is recreate some of like the box art. So for example, classic space box art, you've got this sort of tan surface with the base plates and then sort of spacey background. Well, this is kind of what I'm trying to recreate. So what I might do is I might put a backdrop there and try and actually, maybe in Photoshop, recreate something like this. That would be cool, I think. But anyway, yeah, I thought you might want to see that if you're a Lego fan, or Lego Space fan specifically. Like I say, the Europa, quite a long video of that one on YouTube. I can link to it in the comments. Again, from when I built it, 15 years ago. It's very heavy. It usually lives in the kitchen, and the wings come off for storage, and the engines come, and it hasn't been together for years and years, let alone in the same place. So yeah, just thought you might be interested in seeing that. Thanks.
If you enjoy what I do here, although I can't think why, please remember to click the like button, smash that subscribe button, and hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I post a new video. You might also want to check out my website, www.worldsbestestpoet.com, if you fancy a laugh.